Hey everybody, this is Ro with Ro's Wigglers. I'm down here and I'm about to reset some of my breeder bins, and I wanted to show you sort of my process that I've come up with after learning a little bit from Bobby over at New Soil Castings. I'll tag that below, about how helpful it can be to not actually sift your breeder bins, which disturbs the worms and kind of slows down the breeding process, and instead to reset your bins in a way without sifting. So this is what I came up with, and I wanted to kind of show you my process. So this is my current red wiggler breeder bin that I am getting ready to reset. So we're about 21 days out from the last time I set up this bin, which means that the cocoons are all about to hatch, which means that we really need to get these out. Now, ideally, I would have done this step a week ago, but I have been really trying to do some of that process that you may have seen on my recent videos, so I'm a little behind on things. But this is my breeder bin. I'm going to pull back this top, see if we got any worms hanging out on the surface. No, none that I can see, so that makes it easier. I'm going to set my plastic to the side for a minute. So you can see here, this is what the bin currently looks like. All the little wormies are hanging down below the surface. When I fluff this, you're going to see a good amount of red wigglers. Just get this in closer. Yes, yes. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is fluff this a little bit. This is going to kind of agitate the worms. Oh, I see two breeding right now. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see here. Where's my finger? Yep, see those two all connected together? They're doing their thing. That's what we want to see. Okay, get this back where we want it. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to fluff this up. This is going to get some air into this bedding and help it to dry out a little quicker, because I do keep my breeder bins quite a bit on the wetter side. And ideally, I will be not sifting too many worms, but there will probably end up with some stragglers on this side, so I'll still have to sift a little bit. But this is going to help me with the majority of my breeders, not stressing them out by running them through the sifter and shaking them all up and making them not really feel in the mood, I guess. So now what I have done, I've moved everything, all the current bedding over just a little bit, leaving this strip right here. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up for a little bit of horizontal migration. I'm going to put some very enticing food on this side. Today we have watermelon, which the worms love. They're going to be nice and hungry. I haven't fed them in a little bit now, probably at least a week and a half for this bin. And so they're going to want some new food, especially some watermelon. So I've got this new strip here, and this is where we're going to encourage them to go to get out of the bedding that's full of cocoons that I'm trying to separate. So get that scooted over. Now in this bin, I have prepared bedding, which is basically what I would be using for my new breeder bins. So we're putting this in. What I have in here is some shredded up cardboard, some compost. I inoculated it with worm casting tea because I've got a batch going. I've got a vending event later today, and hopefully a lot of people will be buying my worm casting tea, nice and freshly bottled up. So I've got this pretty wet. You can see some drips coming out. Hopefully you can see that from there. I'm going to get better at these camera angles, y'all, I promise. This has cardboard, compost, worm casting tea, 2 forms of grit, which are azomite and eggshell, and a little bit of coffee grounds all sprinkled in and mixed together. So that's what I do currently for my bedding setup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this, I'm going to put a small layer in the bottom of that strip that I showed you, the new strip where the worms are going to be going. Put some of this in here. Okay, nice little, maybe it's just about like a ½ inch layer, nothing too deep. Then I'm gonna put my watermelon. Got some pieces of frozen watermelon. I like to freeze my food scraps to, one, make it break down faster for the worms, and two, prevent any fruit flies. So, got this nice, yummy, enticing watermelon. I don't want to overdo it, but nice little strip here. See my watermelon? Okay. Then I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit of my worm chow, which is cornmeal, a little bit of kelp meal. This also has some eggshell in it, and some blended up oats. And so I'm going to take this, just a little sprinkle. You don't want to overdo it with the worm chow. Just a little sprinkle. Somebody told me they do it kind of like they're putting pepper on their dinner. So if you think about that, that has really helped me when thinking about how much of this do I want to sprinkle on here. Like pepper on my dinner. So this is what that looks like with the sprinkle. All right, last step, just a little bit more of this new bedding on top. Cover it, prevent fruit flies, get us situated. All this new bedding, when we reset the worm bins, will go to the new breeder bin, along with more bedding, about an inch or two deep, is what I've been learning, because remember, I am still on my learning journey for breeder bins. I've been more focused on castings in the past. So this is all new. This is experiments. This I have tried and it has worked really well for me. Okay, so there's the food covered up. You can see here's the new strip. Here's the old bedding with the cocoons and the worms. And so over time, I'm going to check this in a few days, maybe 3 or 4 days. The worms will ideally have moved over here to get to the new food, and I'll be able to pull out this old bedding. I'll still have to do a little sifting or picking out the worms. I might opt to pick out the worms, especially if there's not too many, because again, I don't want to stress them. So pick out the worms, set up the new bin. All of this will go into my nursery or grow out bin, which my red wigglers are in some big stock tanks right now, and they're doing a great job making castings for me. So the very last step that I do in this process is I take our cover. Remember, we had the cover from earlier. Now I'm not going to cover this whole bin because I want this, the original side where the worms are, to dry out a little bit more, which will encourage the worms to go over to the side that's wetter and has the tasty food in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold this plastic in half, and I'm going to just cover the new strip that I created. So you see here, got just the plastic on the one side. This is where I want the worms to go, and this is the old area. So the worms will go over, I'll pull all this out, I'll start a new breeder bin, and the process continues. So, not too bad, right? Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've tried this. Let me know if you're interested in trying this. And that's it for this video. So remember, until next time, healthy soil, healthy plants, happy worms.